So welcome everybody. Thanks for joining. Today we are continuing our conversation about movies and films and stories and stuff like that. In conversations 1 and 2, we talked about story and how stories go, and we talked about the setting of a story, where stories happen. And this time we took a look at characters in stories and a little bit of a few ways to describe characters you like and describe the way they change over time. Character development. One popular thing is called a redemption arc. And one example that a lot of you may know might be the Queen's Gambit. Queen's Gambit is a popular show that came out recently. Hi, Bruce. Welcome. Thanks for coming. And in the Queen's Gambit, it's a classic redemption story where things are bad at the beginning, but then things are going really well at the middle, and then things go really bad again, but everything works out and things go good in the end. So it's called a redemption story because the hero makes some big mistakes and things go bad, but everything works out in the end. So they redeem themselves. So in our story, or in our dialogue this time, you and Bob talked about different character ideas and what to do with your movie. And your idea was to have these kind of boring characters who don't have many connections, not very interesting relationships, but Bob wants more character development, more deep characters with more backstory and interesting things about their lives. So, are there any stories or characters in stories that you really like? For me, like I mentioned, the main character of Queen's Gambit is someone who has a classic character development, a redemption arc. Another character I really like is Geralt from The Witcher. The Witcher is a book series that they made into a TV show, and that character Geralt is really interesting because he wants to be a bad guy, but he has a kind heart, and he acts like he only cares about himself, but he really does care about others and wants to help people. So he's an interesting character with a lot of depth. He seems like a jerk, but he's actually a good guy. But we can get started with our homework with Lesson 10, Conversation 3, Part 2. And here we are talking about the words another and others and the other or the others. So another or other means one more or one different, right? And then if we say the other or the others, it means whatever's left over. I have one and then there are the others, right? So adding that word the means it's specifically what's left over, okay? So our first sentence is 我面试了5家公司，其中2家拒绝我，另外几家没有下文。Oh, so sad. Looking for a job is difficult, right? We've all had this experience. You send out so many messages, you apply to so many jobs, but no luck. No one answers you. So, in English, I would write this as I interviewed at 5 companies. 2 of them rejected me, and the others didn't respond. Too bad. So, I use the past tense here. And you can use other tenses, but I just decided to use the past tense. And using past tense means I did it and it's over. So, I interviewed at 5 companies. So, interview can be a verb. I interviewed, meaning they met with me and they asked me questions. I interviewed. So interview can be a noun or a verb. So you could use it as a verb here. I interviewed at 5 companies. You could also flip it around and say 5 companies interviewed me. Okay? So you interview someone for a job, or if you're trying to get a job, you interview at that company. Okay? So I interviewed at 5 companies. Okay? Now, we could change this to present perfect. I've interviewed at 5 companies. So that sounds like you started and it continued to now. Maybe you have more coming up. So using the present perfect, I have interviewed or I've interviewed, sounds like you might have more interviews in the future. Both are okay. It just depends on what you're trying to say. Now, you can also use interview as a noun, which a few of you did. So you could say, I've had 5 interviews, or I had 5 interviews, okay? You can also, so I said I interviewed at 5 companies. You could also flip it around and say, I've been interviewed by 5 companies. And that's called the passive voice. The company interviewed me, but we flip that around and say, I've been interviewed by that company, or I was interviewed by that company, okay? So many different ways to say the same thing. Interview can be a noun or a verb, in past tense or present perfect tense, whatever, okay? I did see someone say, I've had finished 5 interviews. So you have an extra verb in there. You could say, I've finished 5 interviews, or I've had 5 interviews, but can't say, I've had finished 5 interviews. We have a little bit extra there. So just keep an eye on your verbs. But there are many different choices. You could say it many different ways. Okay. And then 2 of them rejected me, and the others didn't respond. So 2 of them rejected me. So 2 of them, and the them means the 5 companies. 2 of the 5 companies rejected me, or 2 of them rejected me. Now, rejected is the word we use usually when you apply for something. You try to get something, and they say no. They reject you. So I applied for a job, they rejected me. They took it and threw it away. Rejected is the best choice here because a company can reject someone. Or if you apply to a school, the school might reject you. They say, oh, we don't want you, okay? A few of you use the words refused and declined. Now, we usually use refused and declined with things. So I saw they refused me or they declined me. But usually refused and declined are used with things, not with people. So they refused my application or they declined my application or something, or declined my request, okay? So these words are very close in meaning, but rejected is more common for an application, okay? And then our grammar point was using the others. So 2 of them rejected me, the others didn't respond. Now, how many is the others? Well, do simple math, it's 3. 3 of them didn't respond. But by saying the others, it just means, oh, the rest of them didn't respond, okay? So the others didn't respond. Respond means to answer you. They didn't answer me, okay? You could also say they didn't give me any response, okay? Or you could say, I'm still waiting for the others' replies, which I saw someone say. Or I'm still waiting for the others' reply. But reply should have IES. I'm still waiting for the others' replies. But that sounds like you are still hopeful. You still think they will reply. But you could say the others didn't respond. Would sound like you're kind of giving up. Oh, too bad. Okay? Next up we have 虽然你没有进这些公司，一定还有其他适合你的公司。So, you could say, though you didn't get a job at these companies, there must be other companies that are right for you. Okay? So, in Chinese, you say enter the company, but in English, we don't really say that. We can use the phrase get the job or get a job. Oh, I didn't get the job, or I didn't get a job at these companies. So, though you didn't get a job at these companies, there must be other companies that are right for you. And we've learned a few different ways to say that are right for you. You could say that are a good fit for you, or that suit you. So companies that suit you, or companies that are a good fit for you. Okay? So a very common way to say that you apply for a job and then you get it, so you can use get the job. You didn't get a job at these companies. Oh, too bad. Now you could use better, or you could use bigger words, and you could say you didn't get accepted at these companies, or you didn't get accepted for the job at these companies. So you apply and they didn't accept your application. But you can keep it simple and say get the job, okay? I saw somebody write you didn't be accepted, but usually we would say you didn't get accepted, okay? And so, like I mentioned before, join these companies sounds a little bit off. So though you didn't join these companies, you don't join a company, or we wouldn't use this in this situation. We would talk about getting the job. So we're focused on the job rather than the company, okay? So you didn't get the job, you didn't get accepted for the job, okay? So we're not focusing on you going into the company in English, we're focusing on the job position, okay? I saw someone say you didn't get these offers. So here, this doesn't really work because, yes, you didn't get these offers, but there never were offers. So you can't get something that never existed. An offer is when a company says, hey, would you like to come to our company? Would you like a job at our company? That's an offer. But if that never existed, I would say, though you didn't get offers from these companies, okay? So change it to get offers from these companies instead of getting these offers. You can't say these offers because they don't exist yet, okay? So you could say you didn't get any offers. That would be okay, okay? And then the second part, there must be other companies that are right for you, okay? You could also say there must be others that are right for you because you already know it's a company. So other companies that are right for you, or that are a good fit, or that suit you. You could say that are suitable for you. That's okay. But suitable is a little bit less common because it's a longer word. So you can use suit. It means the same thing. Suit you or suitable for you. Okay? I did see someone say companies that are okay for you, but we don't just want okay. Remember, okay is not really a good thing. It's just like, okay. You want to say that are good for you, or that are the right fit for you, or something like that. Okay? Saying companies that are okay for you sounds like you're not going to get something good. Okay? Remember, okay sounds actually not great. Oh, I also saw someone say there must be others suit you. You should have the word that in there. There must be others that suit you, okay? So leaving out the that here is a little bit tricky. Next up, our sentence is 我刚刚又收到了另一个面试机会. So this one is actually surprisingly tricky. So in English, I would say, I just got another interview, or I just got another interview. So where's the word 机会? So in Chinese, you have 面试机会. But in English, we don't think of it as an interview opportunity. We just think of it as an interview. So interview is like an event. So we don't need the word chance or opportunity here. So I got another interview. Saying I have an interview opportunity sounds like you're not sure you will actually meet that company. If you say interview opportunity, maybe there's still a slight chance you won't go to that company interview. Oh, hi, Monica. Welcome. Okay. And so I just got another interview. Remember, we should use got because you get it. I saw someone say, I just have another interview. But just means it, if you use just got, it means it happened a second ago. It just happened. I just got another interview. And you get it, meaning it comes to you and you grab it. I got it. If you say, I just have, here, have is something you're holding already. It's not a new thing. You already have it. And so if you say, I just have, that changes the meaning of just. In just, when just and have are together, just means only. Oh, I just have an old phone. But, oh, I just got a new phone. So I just have an old phone means I only have this old phone. But if you say, I just got a new phone, it means today, maybe an hour ago, I grabbed it and I bought it a new thing, right? So the meaning's a little bit different. Just got means it just happened. I just have means I only have. So be careful in that one. And then, as I said before, you can just say, I just got another interview. And that doesn't mean you're going right now. It means you add it to your calendar and you have that interview in the future. Okay? So you don't need to say interview opportunity, interview chance. You don't need to say those things. I saw someone say interview notification. A notification is like a message on your phone. Your phone goes ping. And so that could work here. I just got another interview notification. It's not common, but it kind of works. Maybe if your phone sends you a message when you have a new interview. Okay? So notification is when your phone goes ping or your Facebook goes ping, something like that. Okay? So next up, we are on lesson 10. Can I do my fingers? Lesson 10, conversation 3, part 2, the last sentence. 不知道会不会又是一次失败，但我会再试试看。So, I don't know if I'll fail again, but I'll give it another try. Okay? So that's the most natural that I would say. But you could also say it and use another time. And you could say, I don't know if it'll be another failure, but I'll give it another try. Okay? Oh, sorry, I forgot to talk about the word another in our last sentence. I just got another interview. And here, another means one more, one extra. So in this next one, here we have another again, meaning one more. I don't know if I'll fail again, but I'll give it another try. This is a pretty common phrase. I'll give it another try, meaning I'll give it one more try, one extra try. So a try can be thought of as a thing. You can count tries. One try, two tries. So another try. Okay? And so give it another try is a common phrase meaning I'll try again. Okay? I saw a few people use I wonder. I wonder is if you are thinking about it. Ooh, I wonder. You're imagining something. But here it doesn't work so well. It's better to just keep it simple here and say, I don't know. I don't know if I'll fail again. But I wonder if I'll fail again is more like you're imagining a situation. But it's better straightforward here to say, I don't know if. Okay? I don't know if I'll fail again. Fail is a verb. You could also use failure, a noun, a thing. I don't know if it'll be another failure. I don't know if this situation or this interview will be another failure. And then I'll give it another try. So try one more time. You could also say, I'll give it another shot. So that's good too. I'll give it another shot. So try one more time. Okay, so that's talking about another and other, the other, and stuff like that. So in our next section, we're talking about each other and one another. And so in these ones, you could use each other or one another. They're 95% the same. Some people have feelings about what they think it sounds like. Oh, each other sounds like it should be two people. One another sounds like it could be many people. But basically, they're the same. If it's two people, you could use each other or one another. If it's many people, you could use each other or one another. It doesn't really matter. They basically work the same way. And I don't know, there's just a feeling about them sometimes that people will disagree. People will butt heads. Some people will say, oh no, this should be this way. Other people will say, oh no, this should be that way. And if no one can agree, that means they're basically the same, right? Okay. So let's take a look at question number 1. 大学的时候 Bob 和 Jennifer 热恋，两人眼中只有彼此。So, in here, I put in a fun little phrase that you guys might not have heard before. So, first up, the regular one is Bob and Jenny fell in love in college. They only had eyes for each other. Oh. Now, here's an idiom. Bob and Jenny fell head over heels for each other in college. They only had eyes for each other. So to fall head over heels for someone means you're crazy in love. So head over heels. Your head is here. Your heels means your feet, and they should be at the bottom, right? So if you're head over heels, it sounds like you flipped maybe. And so you are doing flips and you're going crazy because you're in love. So Bob and Jenny fell head over heels for each other. Usually we use one person fell head over heels for another person, but we can use it with each other, right? Okay, so each other means this action happens both ways. So Bob and Jenny fell in love in college. They keep it simple, say they fell in love. Fell head over heels for one another or for each other, just making it an action going back and forth. Okay? I saw someone say Bob and Jenny were seeing each other in college. Seeing each other is similar to dating, but it's not really strong enough for this situation or for this sentence. In Chinese, you say 热恋, which sounds like they're super in love, right? Saying they were seeing each other sounds like it could be kind of casual, not a big deal. So you want to use something stronger than that. I also saw someone say Bob and Jenny was in love. Be careful, it's two people, so Bob and Jenny were in love, okay? So that would be okay. Bob and Jenny were in love in college. And then I saw someone use university instead of college. That's totally fine. So in American English, we usually use the word college. Oh, he's going to college. But what we mean could be a college or university. In England, like British English, they will use the word university more often. Oh, I went to university to study blah, blah, blah. But in American English, we use college most of the time. Oh, they met in college. I'm going to college. He went to college. I studied this in college. Doesn't matter if it's a university or a college, okay? Okay, and then The second part, they only had eyes for each other. So this is a phrase, have eyes for someone. So to have eyes for someone means that you are in love with that person. You only see them. There are other beautiful men and women out there, but I don't care. I only see this person. I only have eyes for you. Okay? So they only had eyes for each other. We use each other because it goes back and forth. Bob only had eyes for Jenny. Jenny only had eyes for Bob. Okay? So this was tricky because if you change that phrase, it makes it a little bit funny or a little bit different. So I saw somebody say they only saw each other in their eyes. That's okay. They only saw each other in their eyes. It's okay, but it's not a common phrase. The wording is not super smooth, but it's pretty good. And then, so it's in their eyes, so that works in this idea. I saw someone say they can only see each other. Now, this is a little bit ambiguous. That's a big word. Ambiguous means it's not clear what you're trying to say. So if you say they can only see each other, remember that the word see can mean date. So if you say it should be could because it's past tense, right? They could only see each other. Sounded like they were not allowed to date other people. Well, that makes sense, right? They could only see each other. They could only date each other. Well, yeah, if they're totally in love, they shouldn't be dating other people, right? Unless they're wild people. Another good one that I saw was someone said they were all about each other. So being all about someone is like being crazy for someone. They were crazy about each other. They were all about each other, meaning they could only think of that person. So, those are pretty good too. But if you want that phrase, you could say they only had eyes for each other. Okay? So, next up is 大学毕业后，两人分隔两地，他们开始不了解彼此的生活。So, they went their separate ways after graduation. They couldn't understand each other's lives anymore. So there's that not anymore that we learned before, right? They went their separate ways after graduation. So went their separate ways is a pretty common phrase that means these two people were together and one person went one way, the other person went another way. These are separate ways. They're different ways. So they went their separate ways after graduation, meaning they said goodbye. They each moved to a different place. And this is pretty common. It's kind of a sad story. But you don't have to use that phrase, right? You could change it to something else. So I saw someone say they lived in different places, or they were apart after graduation, or you could say, I saw someone say they have been in different places after graduation. It would be better to say something like they moved to different places after graduation, or they went to, okay? Have been means from then till now. So that would be okay if you say they have lived in different places since graduation, meaning starting back then and coming up till now, okay? So they went their separate ways, or they moved to different places. One of you said they lived in different places. So be careful. Just because it doesn't come up on your spell check, you still need to check your spelling. So in different places means in places that are not the same. But indifferent if you take indifferent and put it together as a word, that's still a word, so your spell check won't correct it. So in different places, if indifferent is one word, that means that gets weird. Indifferent means someone doesn't care about something. So if you live in an indifferent place, that means the place doesn't care about you. It's kind of weird here, so make sure you have that space in there. Check your spelling. Don't just look for that squiggly line, okay? Okay. But yeah, they went their separate ways after graduation. So you could say after graduation, or after graduating, or after graduating from college. Or you could say when they graduated, they went their separate ways. Okay? Or when they graduated, they moved away. Wow, this is a long one. And then the second part is they couldn't understand each other's lives anymore. So I said they could not understand each other's lives anymore. So this not anymore means it was true back then, but afterwards something changed, it's different, right? So not anymore means something becomes different. And they couldn't understand each other's lives anymore. So Bob couldn't understand Jenny. Jenny couldn't understand Bob, so they couldn't understand each other's lives. Now, after using each other's, do you use each other's life or each other's lives? Well, people argue about what's right, but the more common one is with lives. So you could use life or lives. It's both okay, but I looked it up to make sure, and it's more common to say each other's lives. So usually we will put the plural after each other's. Yeah, so they're both okay, but plural is more common, okay? Oh, one more thing. They couldn't understand each other's lives anymore. A few of you said something like they began to not understand each other, or they started not knowing each other's lives, or using the begin or started. You don't need the word started here. It's okay, like they started to not understand each other. But we already have the time that we're talking about after graduation, so it's kind of understood that it started. So you don't need the word began or started when you have a sentence like this. It doesn't add to anything. So in English, we would just take it out. So they couldn't understand each other. You don't need to say they started to not be able to understand each other. It's just making it too wordy. So take out the word started. Ooh, I have some dust in my face. Okay. And again, if you have any questions, please let me know. So next up, continue the Bob and Jenny story. 因为想法的差异，他们很常不小心伤到对方的心。Oh, you hurt my heart. Do people say you hurt my heart in English? Not really. We'd say, oh, you hurt my feelings. So be careful of that. So I would write this as, because of their different ways of thinking, they often accidentally hurt each other's feelings. Okay? Because of their different ways of thinking, they often accidentally hurt each other's feelings. Because of means because of this thing. Usually we put a thing after because of. And because of what? Their different ways of thinking. A few of you said because of their different thoughts or something like that. But a thought is like one thing you think about. I think of this now, I think of that now. Each of those are thoughts. So I have many different thoughts, kind of like many different ideas. But if you're talking about the way someone's brain works, you talk about their ways of thinking, the way they think. So they're different ways of thinking. So yeah, that's a little bit better than saying they're different thoughts. Because a thought is like one moment in time, while ways of thinking is the way they're all thinking about everything. Okay? I use they often hurt each other's feelings. The word often means it happens frequently. Not all the time, not usually, but often. So maybe here and there, but oh, it happened again. Oh no. But if you say they usually do, that means it's most of the time, which is a little bit too much, right? That doesn't, you wouldn't usually hurt someone's feelings. That would be like, in 80% of our conversations, you hurt my feelings. Geez, I'm not going to talk to you again. Okay, so they often accidentally hurt each other's feelings. Accidentally is the best word to use for 不小心的. So it was an accident, or it happened accidentally. Accidentally. And then remember that T kind of goes away, accidentally. So they accidentally hurt each other's feelings. So Bob hurts her feelings, she hurts his feelings, they hurt each other's feelings. So some of you might have used they hurt each other's mind or hurt each other's heart, but in American English, we focus on someone's feelings in their, well, the way they feel inside. So when we say hurt feelings, that's what we should use, okay? And then I use accidentally. You could also use the word unintentionally. That's very similar meaning. Accidentally means you weren't trying to do it. Unintentionally means it happened and you weren't trying to do it. It's very similar to accidentally, right? Someone used the word careless. Well, it would be carelessly. They carelessly hurt each other's feelings. That works, but the meaning is a little bit different. That means they don't care, meaning maybe it wasn't an accident. Maybe Jenny says, Bob, you look ugly today. That's not an accident. That's just being mean. That's being careless. You aren't really worried about it, or you're not being careful, okay? So, next up is 他们尊重彼此的选择，最后和平分手. So, oh, too bad. They respected one another's choices, and they broke up peacefully in the end. So, they respected one another's choices. Of course, you could say they respected each other's choices. Both mean the same thing. So, Bob chose to go live over there. Jenny chose to go live over there. They both made choices. They need to respect one another. So they respected one another's choices, and they broke up peacefully in the end. So I use the word choices because what they chose to do in their life, what they chose to, where they chose to go, something like that. I saw someone use the word options. But options is what you have before you make a choice. So you might have many options. Oh, my option is to move to New York or California. Those are two options. But you can only make one choice. Oh, I chose to move to California. So they have to respect each other's choices. You wouldn't say they have to respect each other's options. That doesn't really work as well. Options means what you could choose. A choice is what you did choose, okay? And they broke up peacefully in the end. So in the end means at the end of all of these things that happened, at the end of the story. So in the end. I saw someone use the word finally. They finally broke up. Now that works. You could use this here. But finally, remember that finally focuses on you feel relief. You're happy that it's over. Ah, finally. And so if you think Bob and Jenny were fighting a lot and it was bad, you could say, oh yeah, they finally broke up. They should have broke up. And now it's better that they broke up. But finally is saying that you're happy that it's over. If you don't want to add that feeling to it, just use in the end. So they broke up in the end. Or you could say something else, like they eventually broke up. Okay? So next up we have Lesson 10, Conversation 3, Part 4, which is talking about different ways to use other. Every other something, one after another, one after the other, and the other day, stuff like that. Okay? And so, first up we have 办公室的人每隔一天就会一起订饮料. So, people in the office order drinks together every other day. So, this one we didn't have many issues, right? I think most of you did really well. So, people in the office, just use the word people because it's people in general. You could say the people in the office if you want to be specific to certain people. You don't have to have the word the. People in the office order drinks together every other day. And so every other day means this day, not this day, this day, not this day. Maybe Monday, Wednesday, Friday, they order drinks together. Okay? I saw someone use people in the office order drinks together one after another. Now be careful, one after another is a different meaning. So one after the other and every other in Chinese could be a little bit similar, but here we want every other, meaning Monday, Wednesday, Friday. One after the other means people in the office order drinks one after the other means Bob orders, Jenny orders, Kyle orders, Bruce orders, Jean orders, Monica orders, Xiaomei orders. So one after another. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Many people one by one. Okay? So the meaning's different. Now, next up we have 今天下午点饮料的时候 Kyle 点了拿铁，其他所有人都点了珍珠奶茶。This is fiction. Why? Well, because I would never order a latte. I always drink black coffee. I don't need milk. Just give me black coffee. Okay? So, when ordering drinks this afternoon, Kyle ordered a latte. Every other person ordered bubble milk tea. So, when ordering drinks this afternoon, Kyle ordered a latte. So, only one person ordered a latte. Every other person ordered bubble milk tea. Remember, every other can have two different meanings. Here it means Kyle is one, and then every other means all the other people, right? So every other means all the other. So every other doesn't always mean one, no, two, no, three, no, okay? So be careful, every other person. You have to think about the context. It can be tricky, but that's English for you. So, when ordering drinks this afternoon, you could say this part another way. You could say when we ordered drinks this afternoon, if you're talking about you in the office. Now, I think one of you wrote as ordering drinks this afternoon. Now, that doesn't really work because we want to use when, because when means at that time. At that one time is when. Using as means something continued. So as we were ordering drinks, that would mean something was happening for a while and something else was happening for a little while. So it doesn't really work in this situation. You could use as, but that would be something like, as we were ordering drinks, John was working hard. So something like that. Meaning one thing was happening, something else was happening at the same time. But we're talking about at one point in time. So we can use the word when ordering drinks, okay? Or you could say when we ordered drinks. Both are fine. And then Kyle ordered a latte. No problems there, I think. And then you should have a new sentence here. So a lot of you used a comma. but you should put a period and start a new sentence with every other person. Every other person is the subject of a new sentence. Every other person ordered bubble milk tea, because this is another action, it's another idea. So every other person, meaning this person, that person, that person, that person. With every other, you can use person, the singular word, because we think of every as one by one. So this person, that person, this person, that person, each one of them, every other person. So when we use every, it ends up with a singular noun. So I saw one of you use every other people. That doesn't work. You say every other person. You could say all the other people. So if you use all, you use a plural noun. All the other people ordered bubble milk tea. Now, you could also use the others, which we learned before, the remaining. So Kyle ordered a latte. The others ordered bubble milk tea. That's fine too. Yeah. One other thing that I've seen one of you do before a couple times is make sure it's bubble milk tea with a B-U. A bubble is like boop, a bubble. One of you keeps writing bobble milk tea. And again, that's a real word, bobble, but it doesn't mean the same as bubble. Bobble with an O is if something shakes from left to right. So if I have my little guy here, if he bobbles, he goes like this, bobble, 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 bobble. Or maybe if you have a baby son, your son might bobble in his chair, bobble, bobble. But we're not talking about bobbling, we're talking about bubble milk tea, okay? A bubble is like, bloop, a bubble, a round thing. Okay, next up is 饮料送到后，大家排队一个接一个拿饮料。So here we have our one after another or one after the other, because people are in a line, one, the other, one, the other, one, the other, okay? When the drinks were delivered, everyone lined up and got their drinks, one after another. So again, we use when to mean at that time, at that one time. So when the drinks were delivered, everyone lined up and got their drinks one after another. So lined up is a good phrase to know. So we have two actions. Everyone lined up, that's the first thing they did, and got their drinks. So you can have the subject and then a verb and verb. So everyone lined up and got their drinks one after another. Okay? So a few of you took the line and made it into people were in a line. Use line as a noun. So I saw someone say, everyone took their drinks in a line. The logic flips around and it sounds like they took their drinks, the drinks in a line. Remember, if you use in a line, that phrase, it will modify, it will change what came before it. If you say everyone took their drinks in a line, that means their drinks were in a line. But you could change it and say everyone got in a line and took their drinks. So we want to remember the order of what's happening here and make sure to have the words in the order that you think. The something will have a word or phrase, and what comes after it describes that. So the people got in a line and took their drinks. Okay? You could also say everyone lined up to get their drinks. So you could say it has two actions. They lined up and got their drinks. Or you could say why they lined up. They lined up to get their drinks. Okay? In order to get their drinks, right? I saw somebody say everyone lined up for getting their drinks, but usually we use for with a thing. So they lined up for tickets to the movie, or they lined up for a drink. So that's for a thing. So to do something, for a thing, okay? And then, yeah, again, I saw someone say, everyone got the drinks in line. Again, it sounds like they put the drinks in a line. Cup, 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 okay? So they lined up to get their drinks one after another, okay? Or, yeah. Or everyone lined up one after another to get their drinks. Both of these are okay, right? And the one after another is focused on the people, okay? Next up we have Kyle 桌上放了前几次喝完的饮料杯，他把它们一个接一个排整齐。So Kyle had empty cups from the last few times on his desk. He lined them up neatly, one after the other. Now, this was pretty tricky. The first sentence, the grammar in English versus Chinese is a little bit tricky. So in Chinese, you say 开桌上放了 blah, 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 blah. So you put the place at the beginning. But in English, we put the place at the end, right? On his desk. And in English, we don't want to say Kyle's desk had. We want to focus on the person, okay? So Kyle had something on his desk, right? Like a lot of my students will say, oh, my home has a TV. Your home doesn't have a TV. You have a TV at home, right? So we want to focus on the person having something, or the person doing something. We want to focus on people, not on things. And so put that place at the end of the sentence. So Kyle had empty cups from the last few times on his desk. So put the place on his desk at the end, okay? Or you could use the verb put. Kyle put empty cups from the last few times. And empty cups is the best here. A few of you wrote finished cups, but it would be better to say empty cups, because the empty is describing the cup. A finished cup sounds like, I don't know, maybe you finished making the cup, finished describing the cup. Yeah, how is the cup finished, right? So you want to describe the cup and say the cup is empty, okay? So Kyle had empty cups from the last few times on his desk. So the timing is a little bit tricky too. So 前几次喝完的. So again, we can't say last few times empty cups. You'd say empty cups from the last few times, okay? And so one question was that, hey, can you use the other times in this sentence? Like, he had empty cups from the other times? The other times sounds like you know what I'm talking about. Like, but if it's if it's recent, it's not all of them for, if you say Kyle had these cups from the other times on his desk, that means every time you got a drink, Kyle still has that cup. But 前几次 is not all of them in history, it's the last few times, right? It's not all of them forever, that would be too many cups, but the last few times, okay? And the last just means a little bit before now, okay? So similar to that, I saw someone say from a few times ago. That means a few times ago means before now, meaning like this time, today is this time, right? A few times ago means you count back a couple times. Okay, how many is a few? Maybe 3 or 4? So 1, 2, 3. Back then, that's a few times ago, that one cup. So that would only be one extra cup. Okay? And then I saw someone use the other day. So from the other day. Again, that only means from one time, meaning the other day means a few days ago, meaning like 2 days ago, 3 days ago, something like that. So that would just be one cup, okay? So from the last few times with an S means there's more than one, there's a few, okay? The next sentence, the most important part, the grammar point is one after the other. He lined them up neatly, one after the other. This sounds like something I would do. I'm a little bit crazy about things being lined up, so I'd line them up perfectly. I have these little fruit animals, fruit ducks, and they're lined up perfectly on this desk. So maybe the sentence really is about me. Oh, crazy. He lined them up neatly, one after the other. So line something up means put them in a line, and you line something up neatly, meaning it's a clean line, meaning it's not wobbly at all. It's a straight line. It's perfect. They're very neat, okay? And they're one after the other means one, the other, one, the other. So you could say one after the other or one after another. It's the same, okay? So I use the word neatly, meaning it looks neat, it looks clean, it looks great. You could use the word orderly. He lined them up orderly, one after the other. But orderly sounds a little bit more formal with it's something like stuff. Just use the word neat or neatly, okay? You could also use so I use the phrase line them up. You could also say organize them. To organize them means to place them in the right place. But it doesn't say exactly that they're in a line. So organized could mean anything. You just put it in a nice way. You organize something neatly, but it doesn't suggest how it looks. So you could organize your bedroom, but if you line something up, you immediately know that it's in a line, okay? So organized works, but it doesn't show that it's actually lined up, okay? One of you used the word tidied them up. Tidied is different than organized. Tidy is like clean. So he tidied them up on his desk. That sounds like I take a brush and I go, I clean the cups. So to tidy something is a little bit different. That's like you're cleaning it or making it look nice and clean, okay? So it's better to use organized or lined them up, okay? So last but not least, we have Lesson 10, Conversation 3, Part 4, which is our dialogue where we're talking to Bob about making a movie. And this time, you and Bob are talking about characters and character development and thinking about, hey, how can we make interesting characters and how can we make an interesting story about these characters, these people? And now, I don't know about you, maybe you're not into writing, maybe you don't want to write a TV show or a movie or a book, but a lot of us watch movies and read books and watch TV shows. And if we want to talk about the show with our friends, we need to know how to describe those characters, right? And so you could say, oh, I think that character is kind of flat. They're kind of boring. They're not interesting. Oh, the writing in this book was pretty good, but there wasn't enough character development. The characters didn't change enough. So you can use these phrases to describe stories that you like. These are useful phrases to talk about why you like something or why you think it's not that interesting. So I mentioned at the beginning, Queen's Gambit. They have no spoilers, but there's a redemption. Well, maybe a little bit of spoilers. There's a redemption arc in the story where things go bad, but then she is okay in the end. Not a big surprise. But a redemption arc is a very common story character arc, right? And that could be good, and you might really like that there's this redemption arc. Or maybe you think, oh, I've seen it too many times. It's cliched. It's boring. So many different ways to talk about things we like, right? We want to describe the things we're interested in, and we need more ways to talk about them. So hopefully you have some stories that you like and you want to tell people about and share about. Okay? So let's take a look at our homework. Our first sentence is 去年我的生活平淡无奇，希望今年可以多才多姿一些。So this is talking about 2020. Oh, I didn't like it. I want this year to be better. My life was run-of-the-mill last year. I hope I can jazz it up a little this year. So, of course, you don't have to use these phrases, but these are some phrases we learned through our dialogue. Oh, my life was run-of-the-mill last year. So, run-of-the-mill is a phrase that means, oh, it wasn't very interesting. It was just kind of plain. It was kind of normal. Run-of-the-mill just means a mill is a kind of old factory. And so something that's run of the mill sounds like it's made in a factory and it's very common, very normal, not very special. So if something is run of the mill, there are many out there like it. It's not unique, not special. So my life was run of the mill last year. You could, of course, say, my life was boring last year. My life was not interesting last year, whatever. And then, second part, I hope I can jazz it up a little this year. So, jazz it up is a phrase that means to make it more exciting. Or we also learned a phrase, spice it up, or something like that, or mix it up. So, you could use a lot of different phrases. I hope I can jazz it up this year. So, jazz is a kind of music that's really interesting and exciting. And so, you could say something like, I hope my life can be a bit more exciting this year, which is what one of you said. Or, I hope my life will be more exciting this year. Totally fine too. I saw one of you say, I hope it could be more colorful this year. Or I hope my life could be more colorful this year. That's okay, but using colorful to describe your life, that works. It's fine, but it's not super common. It's not really a day-to-day way to say exciting or interesting, but it works. It's fine. Next up is 我觉得 Bob 追 Jenny 的方法有点老套. So we talked about the word 追 a long time ago, and you could say it's someone pursuing someone or chasing after someone. But in English, we don't really use those very often. It sounds a little bit old-fashioned. But so in this sentence, I said, I think the way that Bob is going after Jenny is a bit cliche. I use the phrase going after. So I think the way Bob is going after Jenny is a bit cliche. So if a guy is going after a girl, that means he likes her and he's trying to get her as a girlfriend or something like that. So you could use another phrase like the way that Bob is pursuing Jenny is a bit cliche or something like that. And then we talked about chasing. Chasing sounds like the guy is playing around. He's not serious. So if someone is chasing girls, that sounds like he's a player and maybe he has lots of girls that he likes. That guy is chasing women. That's usually sounds bad. If it's a guy going after a girl, you could say going after or pursuing. Chasing has some negative feelings to it, okay? But it could be okay here. You might hear it sometimes, okay? And then I also saw someone use the word hit on. Hit on is like flirt. To hit on someone or to flirt with someone is less serious. It's more casual. Maybe if two people are at a bar, one person might hit on the other person. It sounds very casual. And to hit on someone, you're not being serious. Maybe you're just trying to have fun and meet someone you could date for a short time or something like that. Okay? So to hit on someone is like flirting with them, or a little bit like flirting with them. But if Bob actually likes Jenny, it's better to use something like going after. So I think the way that Bob is going after Jenny is a bit cliche. Now, we learned the word cliche in our dialogue. Cliche means it's something that's very commonplace. You see it all the time, and it's so common that it's kind of boring. Oh, I've seen this a million times. It's cliche. So if we're talking about a movie, and like if you see a redemption arc, oh, they start drinking beer, but then they do well in the end. That's kind of cliche. It happens to Iron Man. It happens to the girl in Queen's Gambit. It happens in all over the place. So cliche is something you see too often that you think it's kind of boring. Now, Lao Tao, I believe, could also be translated to old-fashioned. Old-fashioned and cliche are different, though. Cliche means you see it too often, that it's not interesting. So if Bob is going after Jenny and it's cliche, maybe he takes her to dinner and a movie. Yeah, tons of people do that, but it's kind of boring. It's not very interesting. Old-fashioned would be like something that's, you think it's only that old people would do. People don't do it now. So cliche, maybe people still do it now, but it's just not very clever, not very interesting. Old-fashioned means that people now don't do it anymore. It's just like what an old man might do. Okay? What would be an old-fashioned date? Oh, we're going to go horseback riding. Yeah, that sounds a little old-fashioned. Maybe? I don't know. Okay. Next up is 那个演讲者说话语气太平了，我无聊到快睡着了。I added a了, but whatever. 我无聊到快睡着. Hopefully that's not how you feel about me. Today we're going to learn about English grammar. That speaker's voice was too flat. It was so mind-numbingly boring that I almost fell asleep. There's a famous movie called Ferris Bueller, and there's a teacher in Ferris Bueller who, when he speaks, he's really boring, and all the kids fall asleep. And the teacher goes, Bueller, Bueller, are you here in class? And all the kids are just sleeping. It's like, what about this question? Anyone? Anyone? So that speaker's voice was too flat. It was so mind-numbingly boring that I almost fell asleep. So that speaker's voice, you can just use, well, he's a speaker. A speaker is someone giving a speech. Okay, that speaker. Or you could say that lecturer. If you're at a school and they're giving a speech, you could say it's a lecture. That lecturer, that lecturer's voice, that speaker's voice. And the voice means the sound of their voice. So you could just use the word voice. I did see someone use the word tone, that speaker's tone, or the tone of the speaker. Now, when we're talking about someone's voice, we wouldn't use the word tone by itself. It's okay, but it's more common to say that speaker's tone of voice, the way they're talking. But tone of voice also means, are they being friendly or mean or something like that? It's kind of the feeling in their voice too. So the tone of voice is better than just saying the tone, okay? And remember, it's speaker with a K. I saw someone write speecher. Speecher is not a common word, so be careful of that. So the speaker's voice was too flat. I saw someone say the speaker's speech was too flat. That's okay. But usually we use the word speech to talk about what they are saying rather than the sound. So that speaker's speech was too boring would mean the content, what he's talking about. That speaker's voice was too boring means the sound of his voice, okay? And then the second part, it was too flat. Another word to mean flat could be monotone. I'll type it in the chat, monotone. So if someone's voice is monotone, it has one tone. Mono means one, tone means sound. So someone who's monotone sounds like this. Their voice doesn't go up and down. So a monotone voice. Their voice is too flat. Hopefully you don't have a monotone voice. It was so mind-numbingly boring that I almost fell asleep. So this is a sentence structure we learned using so something that something. And so adjective that something happened or almost happened. So I use the phrase mind-numbingly boring. We could have boring. We could have mind-numbing. You could have mind-numbingly boring, meaning it's super, super boring. Okay? It was so mind-numbingly boring. This was so crazy that something happened. I almost fell asleep. Okay? So, I almost fell asleep. 快睡着 is I almost fell asleep. I didn't, but I almost did. Oh, maybe you were woozy or drowsy. Okay? You could write this other ways. It was so boring, which put me to sleep. Okay? The which describing the meaning of that, why that's important. Or it made me feel sleepy. That's okay. But the word sleepy, if you feel sleepy, it sounds a little bit young, like something a kid would say. Adults don't often use the word sleepy. Oh, I feel sleepy. We would just use the word tired. Okay? Sleepy sounds like it. Yeah, well, I probably wouldn't use the word sleepy very often. Oh, I feel sleepy. It sounds like maybe something a kid might say. So be aware. Some words are more common with children than adults. Adults might say, oh, I'm effing exhausted. Okay? So it almost put me to sleep, or I almost fell asleep. Okay? Now, remember, it needs to be, it was so boring that I almost fell asleep. I saw somebody say it was too boring to put me to sleep. Now, that actually is the opposite meaning. This doesn't really make sense because if you say it was too boring to put me to sleep, meaning that it's so boring that I cannot go to sleep. So to something, to do something, means that it's so much that you cannot do the other thing. Maybe like if it's really cold outside, oh, it's too cold for me to go to sleep, meaning it's so cold I can't fall asleep or something. Okay? It's too boring to put me to sleep, meaning it's so boring that I have to listen. I can't fall asleep. It doesn't really make sense, right? So be careful of your to versus so. It should be, it's so boring that I almost fell asleep. Okay? So, but I think everyone did pretty good on these 3 sentences. No big issues. A few different ways to write each one, right? So then we had our dialogue with our talking about different characters. And yeah, next week we will take a look at conversation 4, which is our silly personality. But it's not that silly, to be honest. The next one is kind of about, it's about some different kinds of stories. We talk about fiction stories versus nonfiction. Fiction means not real stories. Nonfiction means real stories. And so we talk about different kinds of stories. And you and Bob will talk about maybe making an autobiography, making a movie about you and Bob. And so through that conversation, you and Bob will talk about some of the memories you've had together. So it's a little bit of reminiscing, remembering back to what we've done in our course together. So next week, we will have our final stream about this homework. So that's lesson 10, conversation 4, stream. It's been a long road and we're almost there. We can see the light at the end of the tunnel. We're on the home stretch, right? So thanks for joining, and thanks for joining me on this course for all this time. It's been a long time. We only have one more homework week left. So goodbye, everyone. Thank you, and see you next time.